See, it looks like I do see a few people slowly streaming in, so this is good. Welcome, welcome. I'll just give it a couple minutes in case the stragglers are just slowly signing on to their accounts there. All of this is going to be recorded, so everyone here will also receive a copy of this webinar in their email once it's all processed later today.
And feel free, everyone, while you're joining the webinar, just to say hello, chat us. If you have any questions for us, feel free to put those into the chat before we get started here.
All right. I'll go ahead and get this webinar started now. First of all, hi everyone, welcome to this exciting new webinar. My name is Tech, I'll be the host for today's webinar. And today we're about to dive into the world of innovation and efficiency in the real estate industry. We're all thrilled and excited to introduce you to a groundbreaking new concept that'll transform the way you think about property management and leasing. And this is called Leasing Plus. In the world where time is of the essence, we seek innovative solutions that'll help you both streamline the process, boost your turnover experience, and enhance your bottom line. We would like to extend a gratitude to everyone that took time to join our webinar today, and a special thank you for everyone who has used our leasing services and provided feedback. Without further ado, I'd love to introduce you to our CEO and co-founder, Dana Dunford, and she'll be here today to present you with this new game-changing product called Leasing Plus.
Great. Thanks so much, Tech. And thanks everyone for joining. We know that with innovation, it's a relatively new concept how we do things. And so we're really excited to tell you how we've unbundled some of the tenant placement and turnover services to provide you with exactly what you want. And we'll tell you a little bit more about exactly how we're doing it. That way, if you have any questions of, well, how do they show the rental property or how do they get the inspection done? All of that will be answered today for you. And then we also have Robert joining us, who is one of our early leasing customers, to provide you some insights into his experience using our leasing services. So before we get started, we want to just test a little bit of your knowledge here. And the reason we want to is we listen to our customers. We have 23,000 rental properties that we support. And with the rentals that we support, we've asked the owners and managers what they would like to see on Hemlane. And the biggest one was reducing vacancy and looking at the tenant turnover process. And so with that, we have to start with a baseline. And so we're going to put up a poll right here for everyone to answer. Robert, feel free to as well. This is not Hemlane's numbers, but this is from Rent Cafe. So nationwide, what is the average days on market for a rental property? So go ahead. We'll let you guys go in here and respond. And we'll just take a couple of moments here. All right. And we have about 50% participation here. All right, Tech, you can end the poll. And it looks like the majority of you are correct that from that perspective, it is 37 days. What's interesting is it used to be 32 days. So last year it was 32 days was the average to place a tenant. An average rental property now goes for $2,000 per month across the nation. And so that means you lose over $2,467 just in lost rent. So our goal is not to take over your property management from you and change the price or anything like that. We definitely want you to be in the decision-making seat, but we are here to help you reduce the days on vacancy, and we'll tell you a little bit more about how we do it. So if we jump on over to the next slide, we're going to tell you a little bit more about this new service that we have called Leasing Plus. And what it is everything that has to do with the turnover of the property and placing the new tenant. As you've probably seen as a theme throughout Hemlane, one size doesn't fit all. We speak with real estate investors across the nation and always hear from you of different services that you and managers want associated with your property management. And so what have we done? We've unbundled it into 3 different sections where it's a plug and play. You can pick and choose the services you need, and then any services you don't need because you're doing that, or you have a manager on site who's helping you do that, you can opt into those services. So it starts with inspections. That's when the tenant moves out. We have an inspector go in, take a look at your property, and then write a full draft report for you. On the rent ready side, that's where we help coordinate the cleaning and repairs. We will send over to you the estimates for approval and then go out and do the work, whether it's paint or cleaning or any other type of handiwork repairs that you need. And finally, the most popular service is our tenant placement one, where you no longer have to show the rental property. We've seen great success where leasing agents have said, I can't believe how many times tenants have canceled on me in a showing. And the same thing when you're a real estate investor. So really us coming in and providing tenants the flexibility to choose it on their schedule. And if they need to reschedule a showing, that 1, it's always safe, but 2, it doesn't inconvenience you as either the real estate investor, agent, or manager. So with that, let's go ahead and dive into each one of these services a little bit more. First, with inspections. Our third-party inspectors will provide a comprehensive move-out report. And so with your tenants who are in your property, the biggest thing for them to ask and question is, hey, what is being deducted and why? It's phenomenal to have a third party to say, here's exactly what's being deducted. And it's a third-party inspection report, not the owner's or manager's inspection report to do that. And so we'll provide this documented and detailed report for you. And then you'll be able to use that not only for the security deposit refund, but you can also use it for us to go through the rent ready repairs, which is the next one. So what rent ready is we'll coordinate the service professionals. So you can select your own service professionals if you have your own handyman, electrician, plumber, or you can use our list, our network of service professionals. We'll get the quotes, you'll approve them, and then we'll coordinate those repairs, and we'll also coordinate the cleaning for you. Once the property is move-in ready, and we'll try to do some of this in parallel, by the way, we'll go into tenant placement plus next. So once we have a really good idea that, hey, the property is going to be ready to be shown, we're going to already start advertising it. And we offer showing 7 days per week. That is to accommodate any tenant's schedule. So if they can come on Monday at lunch, why not? Rather than if it's Sunday night and the tenant puts in a request to view your property, we're not going to wait until the next Saturday to show it. We're going to try to get them in today or the following day. And we do this only during daylight. So only during the daylight hours, we'll go ahead and do the showings. If they need to reschedule, we'll go ahead and also reschedule with them. So this is our tenant placement service. And we'll go into in a couple slides from here exactly how we do security with it as well, because I'm sure there's some questions there. So how much does all of this cost? If you want all 3, it's $995. But if you want to pick and select the services that you want, our inspection report is $300. Our rent ready service is $350. And then our tenant placement service is $595. So feel free at any time to go through. You can change it as well. There's folks who come to us just for the inspection and decide to also do tenant placement. You have that power to pick and choose what you want. And we try to do it at a very affordable price for you. So moving on to some of the benefits of it. What have we found from the service? First, we can help speed up the time to qualify a tenant. So don't forget you're still in control of your property. Upfront, we'll ask you, do you accept pets? What are your income and credit requirements? We also know at the state level, are you required to accept Section 8? All of that, those types of different fields are documented in there. And so when a tenant comes in, we can actually do a pre-qualification to make sure that they qualify for the property before we schedule the showing. We won't do the full background and credit check until after they've viewed the property, but we will do this pre-qualification upfront. And then showing your properties remotely. So we'll install a digital lockbox on site and then vet the tenants for the self-guided tours. Safety is our biggest concern here. And so we started using some of the newest technology for this. So we use biometrics, where a tenant will hold their government issued ID up to their face and we will scan them. So we'll scan and make sure they are who they say they are. And then once we do, we'll provide them a single use code for that lockbox just for the time of their tour. We'll talk a lot more about safety and all of that later on, but it is important to note that our lockboxes do not require Wi-Fi. So you don't have to have Wi-Fi, and we'll be managing all those codes, and they'll be expiring every 30 minutes for the next showing. And then we'll take care of all that follow-up coordination for you. So you can go into our system and view exactly what conversations we've had and where the applicants are in the process. But once the application, background, credit, eviction, and income verification are all done, there will be a recommended action for you based on your specific criteria of whether to accept or deny the tenant. And then you can go through with either accepting them or declining them, and there will be the recommendation based on your criteria. It's important to note that our service doesn't end there. We'll go straight into, in the next slide, we'll go straight into helping with the lease preparation. So you can use your own state-specific lease, or you can use one of our partners for it. And then we won't give the tenant that lockbox code to go ahead and access the property for move-in until the first month's rent and security deposit are deposited into your bank account. And so we're making sure we follow these best-in-class practices for you to make sure that we're helping mitigate the risk. And finally, we are committed to you. We love hearing from our customers. So we'll provide status updates along the way, but you can always ask us questions. Most recently, we've just launched and revamped our services center. So now Leasing Services, when you log in, you'll see it's got a lot more information in there, all the way from the messages to the inspection report and viewing everything that's open and outstanding. And on top of that, we are about to release an entirely new revamp to prospective tenants, so it's easier for you to see where they are in the process. So as far as next steps, if you'd like to request our leasing services, there's two different ways to do it. You can go to our website and click on Leasing Plus, or you can also click on your team under Hemlane and app and click Request Leasing Help. And then you can also get a free consult at any time. And so with that, I would like to turn it over to Robert, who is one of our customers, who will share a little bit about his experience using Hemlane. Thank you so much, Robert, for joining.
Thanks, Dana. Yes, so I initially came to Hemlane for their repair coordination service, and Been very, very happy with that. And I moved a property from a full service property manager that was struggling to find a renter. It had been on the market for something close to the number that we talked about earlier. It was about a little over a month, and turned it over to Hemlane, and they found me a number of qualified applicants within, I think it was about 4 days, and we identified one that we thought would be a good fit. And they have been in there 3 months now, and not only did they help find a qualified applicant, but they were very helpful in the onboarding process and making sure the tenants' questions were answered, and ensuring that, as they said, deposits were received and first month's was received before tenants moved in. And so I've been thrilled with the service, and I have 20 or so properties, and the plan right now is to continue to migrate from full service property management over to Hemlane's product as those turn over. As I said, it's been a very good experience. And one of the things that I think I've been most surprised by, and I think that's really a reflection on how some other property managers suffer with customer service, but Hemlane does a great job of going to your tenant with a sense of empathy and just making sure that they feel cared for. And they probably do that certainly as well, maybe even better than I had done when stretched too thin. So it's been, as I said, it's been just a really positive experience.
That's great. Thank you so much, Robert, for sharing that experience. And it will continue to hopefully just get better for you as we continue to revamp and improve the services in the center for you. But great to hear the advertising is working. And as one of our initial leasing customers, that you had a great experience. We do have some questions in the chat here. And if anyone has any questions for Robert, please feel free to put those into the chat as well. The first question that I'll answer here is, do we have people on the ground in Portland, Oregon, Oregon wine country, or Vancouver, Washington areas? So yes, on the handiwork side and the turnover side, we'll have folks on the ground to help support that, lockbox installs and all of that. I don't know where in Oregon wine country it is. So feel free to go ahead and put that into, you can email hello@hemlane.com, or you can also just chat us on our website, and we're more than happy to let you know about serviceability there. So hopefully that answers that question. I'm going to go through there's a couple of other questions here in the Q&A. I'm going to go through the FAQs and then go back to the Q&A if that works okay for you. So a couple of questions that may come up. The first is, how much does the lockbox cost? Because we do have this lockbox for you. It's a deposit. So it's $100 per digital lockbox deposit, and you can keep it for your next turnover if you want, or you can ship it back to us for a full refund. So either way, and then we can have a handyman install that lockbox for you, or you can install it yourself. We've had folks just send it out to neighbors or install it themselves or have their own handyman install it. So whichever way, we can easily coordinate that for you. And typically we actually just have the tenant hold on to that lockbox once they move in. We tell them always to put it underneath the sink, and then it's there for the next turnover as well, just so you know. And then the lockbox can be transferred to other rentals. Robert, as you build up your portfolio there and your real estate empire, you can just transfer that lockbox from one rental property to another. We in our back-end system will re-record that it's on a new rental property, and then there's no additional cost for that deposit on the lockbox. And then finally, on the great, Robert, on verifying tenants before the tour, There's a lot of questions people have about security. And so I just want to reiterate that we do store IDs, and we're using the biometrics to verify tenants. We've also seen, because we work both with real estate agents to show rental properties, as well as have this in-house leasing. And the real estate agents that we partner with are wonderful. And we've been partnering with them for over 4 years now. What we have found when we launched this leasing service is that you actually don't have more break-ins. So if the property doesn't have a tenant in it and it's vacant, of course, there's always a risk of a break-in, but we've actually found a reduction in break-ins because there's more showings, because you're trying to show the property faster. So as long as your property is priced correctly, you will see tenants will be in there and the turnover will be shortened. And that's the best way to reduce any sort of break-in with a vacant property. So it doesn't matter who's showing the property, it's more looking to reduce that timeline. So that's another point to bring up. Great. Let me go ahead and go through some of these questions. One is, can this be private labeled? We do work with brokerages. So we do have brokerages who will use Hemlane. We can co-brand with you. So it depends on how large the brokerage is, but we can co-brand with you. The one thing that's important to note with it is, because the tech support is on our side, there's still going to be Hemlane branding across certain things. Because of course, when they call in, they're calling Hemlane support if a tenant has any questions about how to pay rent or anything like that. And it's a much more optimized for our team to know that process because we have the back end. So hopefully that answers your question about private labeling. The next one is on supporting housing vouchers. So housing vouchers, as many of you know, are Section 8 vouchers. You've also probably heard that. And if a tenant does have a housing voucher, we can help go through the process with you. There is additional inspections that you'll need from the housing authority. There's additional paperwork you yourself would have to fill out, but we can go through that application process. And when you're looking at the qualifications of the tenant, you're accounting for they have that voucher as well. So they still have to meet your qualifications from like a credit perspective, but from an income perspective, the housing voucher is obviously going to be have an impact there. And so we're happy, Marcy, to go through more details there as well. We have a question about repair coordination. If there's no inspection report, how do we know what to repair? That's a great question. So if you're just doing our rent ready repairs, so you're not going to opt into our inspection, we will ask you for a list of what you want us to repair. And we prefer photos with that. We need photos for the before and after to know what exactly needs to be done. But if it's your own inspection report from that perspective and you want to show us certain parts of the house that need repairs, as long as we have that clearly documented, we can go through that process without going through our own inspection report. If you do go through our inspection process, your rent ready coordinator, so who's going to help you with those turnover repairs, will set up a Zoom like this to walk through those repairs with you to figure out what you should be repairing, what might just be discretionary, and walk through that with you so you can determine exactly how you want things to be done. And then we have a question here for placement service. How is the service experience different with or without an agent? That is a great question. So there's two different services we have. There's obviously this Leasing Plus, which is without an agent. And then we also work with brokerages across the nation to provide tenant placement services, so leasing. It depends on your property. So a leasing agent is going to be more expensive. They typically are 1 month's rent, but we do advise it in certain situations. Some of those situations where we would say, hey, you should probably look at having an agent do it, is it if it's rent by room. So if it's rent by room, the tenants who are existing in the property, may not want a lockbox and someone walking through the house. So we would recommend that you work with an agent. We also do the same thing if it's furnished. If the property's furnished, while you can choose our Leasing Plus services, we would also recommend an agent. So hopefully that helps answer that question.
I think that's all the questions that we have for today, Dana.
Great. Well, thank you so much. If there are any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at hello@hemlane.com. I see for lease agreements, is there a sample? Yes, go ahead and reach out to us at hello@hemlane.com, and we can definitely provide you based on where you are with who our partner is for the lease agreements there. And if any other questions come up, please go ahead and visit www.hemlane.com. Robert, thank you so much for joining us today as well.
Happy to do it.
Great, thanks everyone. And as I mentioned earlier, we'll also be sending out a recording of this webinar later today. So everyone look forward to that in your inbox as well. Great, thanks for joining and hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day.